Hello, thank you for tuning in. This is January the 6th, 2014. It's very cold and wet out here in Virginia today. And I'm making this video to deal with that right there. Recently I noticed something's going wrong. I'm having this upper respiratory problem, this wheezing action. And it's really unusual because I'm not getting sick in any other way. And so I went to my doctor, who's a private doctor, and they send my blood results off to a lab that they trust. I'm no longer with a large company because when I was going to Kaiser, my doctor got very upset that I tricked him into getting the blood results back, and you know, he was very concerned that his practice was going to dissolve and he would get fired because he actually found the results that I was looking for in my blood. Anyway, so my doctor tested my blood, and they said that once again my blood results show the same unusual results, that I have fewer parasites and viruses in my blood than other adults my age, and that my blood cells live longer than they should, longer than other adults my age. So those results are still the same, and that, you know, I attribute this to my meditation exercise and being vegetarian, eating properly, and exercising. And but they said that they also noticed something. They noticed an increase in aluminum and barium particulates, and that they feel that this combination is causing the upper respiratory problem that I'm having. Now, I want to point something out. About 10 years ago, while I was working on a government contract, I saw a report that doctors had issued warning that in the next 10 to 20 years there was going to be a rapid and steady increase in respiratory issues and respiratory problems that they were going to see coming into the hospitals and the doctor's offices. And they attributed this to nothing. They didn't really say. They kind of hid the truth. Now, it just so happens that in California, a private research company sent a plane up and took some samples of the cloud material that had been left behind after a jet flew by and left one of these chemtrails in the air. When they came back and tested that sample, the primary substances in the chemtrail were aluminum and barium particulates. Now, the reason they did the test is because orange farmers in California that have massive orange fields were reporting that their orange crop was dying, and the only thing that they knew was changing was that they were seeing these streaks in the sky on a regular basis. So they tested the ground samples, the soil samples, the rain samples, and the plants, and guess what they found? An increase of aluminum and barium particulates. Now, I want to point something out to you. This is very, very important. Genetically modified organisms produced by Monsanto are specifically being genetically modified to be resistant to, guess what? That's right, aluminum and barium particulates. Now tell me they didn't know what's going on. I know why they're spraying the skies. They'll tell you that they had no choice, that they have to cool the planet down, and that this is the only way to do it, is to block out the sunlight. Because they know that the reason the Earth is warming up is because the core of the planet is warming up, and what would affect the core of the planet? Sunlight wouldn't affect it. Massive amounts of radiation. Not enough to hurt us, but enough that it could heat up something like molten lava, or the core of a planet, or a star, which is why we're seeing all these massive coronal ejections from the sun. This is why NASA found ice plumes shooting off of the surface of Saturn. You can look this up on www.nasa.gov website. Look up Saturn ice plumes. They discovered that every planet in our solar system was warming up the same amount. And they discovered the source of this heating was a radiation that was coming from somewhere near the center of the Milky Way galaxy. It turns out it's coming from the black hole, the supermassive black hole that NASA discovered at the center of the Milky Way galaxy. We are passing through what's known as the galactic plane. That's what they call it. The galactic plane is a field of radiation. At the center of it, there's a magnetic field that's about an inch thick. And it's so powerful that as a planet passes through that magnetic field, the poles will flip. So all this we're experiencing, global warming, the changes in the temperature, the melting of the polar ice caps, this is all due to the radiation coming from the center of the Milky Way galaxy. It happens every time our solar system passes through the galactic plane, which happens about every 2,800 to 3,000 years. So, you want to know what's causing global warming? Radiation from the center of the Milky Way galaxy. You want to know what's causing you and your family to get sick and causing the orange crops to die and pretty much any other food particle that uses the nutrients that come in the ground and the rainwater that falls down from the sky? All plants are starting to exhibit signs of deterioration due to these aluminum and barium particles that are being sprayed in the sky. They're going to tell you that we had no choice, that they had to spray the sky in order to protect the planet. But there were alternatives presented to them. They just chose to go with the one that was most damaging to the planet and the people, because then they could profit off of people getting sick and having to go to the doctors, and they could profit off of producing fruit and vegetable plants that don't produce seeds, that are resistant to these products, and therefore corner the market on food. So there's a bigger plan in effect, and I just want to let you know. If you're starting to have any upper respiratory problems, or you notice an increase of upper respiratory problems, or your doctor tells you that there's been an increase of upper respiratory problems, this is why. I stand out and I hold my sign that says "Demand Peace, Ask Questions," because I already knew about the radiation problem. I already knew that's what was causing global warming, that it wasn't CFCs or our carbon footprint, that bullshit that they tried to feed us. I already knew that the reason for global warming is that we're passing through the galactic plane, and that in the middle of this galactic plane is a magnetic field that's going to flip the poles of the planet. So right when things get the worst they could possibly get, they're going to get even worse. There's going to be earthquakes, tectonic plate movement, mountains are going to collapse, new mountains are going to form, water masses are going to shift, oceans are going to shift around, land is going to be exposed that hasn't been underwater for that's been underwater for, thousands of years now, about 3,000 years, and water is going to cover land masses that have been dry for about the past 3,000 years, including the coastlines. Okay, anywhere there's lots of sand is probably going to go back underwater. We're talking about California, Texas, Louisiana, Florida, the coastlines. All right, there's a reason why there's nothing but sand underneath. It's not a mystery. It's because it used to be under the ocean. Over about 1,000 years, plant life started growing in these areas where there was lots of nourishment and it could grow. So this is a cyclical pattern. But you're being lied to about everything that's going on. And people need to realize that the coastlines are not safe. That we really should be migrating away from the coastlines and away from these massive cities. But they're attacking people, they're disinforming people, they're confusing people, they're doing a lot of things to say that people like myself and the private air testing company in California and the doctor that I go to are crazy, that we're psychotic, that we're schizophrenic, and we don't know what's going on. Okay, wake up, really. This is your last warning. Things are only going to get worse from here. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you consider donating to me, because it's getting more and more difficult to continue to stand out and hold my sign and try to wake people up to the truth when all I get is honks and waves and smiles. They're really nice. I love the support. Thank you very much. But they don't pay for the bills. They don't pay for my car. I don't have a lot of bills. I've given up living in a house in order to send these messages, in order to wake people up, in order to make a difference. I've sacrificed all the comforts that are in my life in order to make this important message to the public. Demand peace. Work with me. Thanks for watching.